ESPN+. Welcome you to Cincinnati, Ohio. We've got two teams today hoping that a new month will turn their luck around. West Virginia and the Cincinnati Bearcats both ending January on 3-game losing streaks. Trying to get back in the W column today at Fifth Third Arena. Alongside Tim McCormick, I'm Eric Rothman. Happy to be here with you this afternoon. And Tim, two defensive-minded teams. They're going to go at it all day today.
Yeah, I'm expecting a defensive slugfest, physical and manly defensive pressure versus opponents that struggle to score. It really feels like a game in the 60s.
Defense will happen, but so will some dynamic point guard play. Jizzle James for Cincinnati, the sophomore.
And he's electrifying in the open court, a real standout, 18 points per game versus Utah, and plenty of highlights. He's loaded with star power, nice perimeter attack, love the balance, 11, 4, and 4.
Javon Small leading the Big 12 in scoring this season.
A senior sensation and a Big 12 breakout star, leads the conference in scoring right around 19. Certainly all league, a dynamic playmaker and two-way performer.
West Virginia in their beautiful blue uniforms with the yellow trim. Cincinnati in their home whites with the black trim. West Virginia 13-7 record overall, 4-5 in conference play. A little deceiving though, they have beat 3 top 10 teams this year. They fell most recently to a top 10 team at home against Houston earlier this week. Cincinnati Bearcats, they're 12-8 on the year, disappointing 2-7 in conference play after starting as a preseason top 20 pick. And it really has been a struggle offensively for this Bearcats team as they go inside to the Texas transfer, Dylan Mitchell, who misses the first field goal of the game.
And at shoot-around today, Wes Miller said that we need toughness and physicality as the top priorities.
They've put Day Thomas in the lineup instead of Dan Skillings to start things off. As we take a look at the West Virginia starting lineup, the issue for them has been finding secondary scoring beyond Javon Small, and Toby Okani is one of those guys that head coach Darren DeVries hopes can pop in a game like today. Mentioned Day Thomas. As you take a look at the starting five, he is making his first start of the season, so a guard-heavy backcourt with him and James, and then the hot shooting, albeit streaky, Simas Lukosius on the wing. Aziz Bandago on the offensive glass knocked that off a West Virginia player and out of bounds. It will stay with Cincinnati.
Eric, both teams will start out man-to-man. It's going to be physical and confrontational. These two teams have lost 3 straight, and so they're both in desperation mode. Did you hear me say desperation? Because I think it's going to be a really competitive game.
It should be. Both teams match up quite nicely. Neither play super big, but they also play very physical. Wes Miller's in his 4th year at the helm for Cincinnati, and really has had a tough go of it this year. High expectations, Tim, with the core of last year's team that made it to the NIT returning and just haven't lived up to the expectations.
Really, they struggle to shoot. Threes are a concern, only 31%. That's 15th in the Big 12.
16 teams in the conference. 5 on the shot clock now for Jizzle James driving. A little push off, but Sincere Harris, one of the best perimeter defenders in this conference, gets the steal there.
And against Houston in their last outing, Harris just completely took the Cougars out of their offense. They made a really nice comeback, ended up losing, but man, Harris can really affect the game.
West Virginia, despite shooting 57% in the second half, lost by double digits to Houston. It shows you how good the Cougars are. Straightaway 3 off the back of the iron from Amani Hansberry. And Tim, what do you have for the keys to the game for the Bearcats today?
Well, at shoot-around today, Wes Miller was clear and concise. To win the game, we need to win the rebounding battle. Also, he said, I'm starting Day because he brings a little bit more toughness.
An offensive rebound there after the mid-range jumper miss. How about for West Virginia? What do they need to do?
For the Mountaineers, Javon Small has been unstoppable. He's a complete player with the ball. He can open the court up, and then West Virginia can nail threes.
It's another shot deep in the shot clock as Bandago misses, and now transition opportunity that Amani Hansberry can't convert. But already we're seeing the scrappiness of West Virginia forcing Cincinnati to take some bad shots.
One of the hidden keys in this game, we see so much switching defensively. Both these teams play straight up. You've got to set solid, rock-hard screens.
Day Thomas making the most of his first start of the season, puts Cincinnati on the board, their first three-point shot of the game. As Tim already mentioned, a poor three-point shooting team on the season, but they'll take that to take a 1-point lead.
I like the speed of that Cincy backcourt.
They have flashed that dual point guard backcourt with Day Thomas and Jizzle James as Javon Small response. They flashed it a lot last year. They flashed it some this year with Day coming off the bench, but you talked about it. It just kind of gives them a little bit more of a spark, a little bit more of that backcourt toughness that Wes Miller's looking for.
And it's going to be important for Skillings to have a big boy attitude and not take it personal, still be able to go out there and impact the game.
Lukosius fouled behind the three-point line. He'll shoot a trio of free throws.
Yeah, big opportunity to get off to a quick start. Remember, for both of these teams, you make an early three or two, it builds your confidence, pulls out the defense, and can also create opportunities. I would not be afraid of either one of these teams and their post game.
And remind me, Tim, what was your over-under you said in the open there? Was it a game in the 60s? We might get a game in the 40s here with the pace we're going.
I've watched these teams, and I think that 55 would be a really good goal. If you hit 55, you're going to win.
Well, Cincinnati has averaged just 61 points per game in Big 12 play. And a big reason why, Tim, is those numbers right there from Simas Lukosius. And Lukosius was their sharpshooter coming in from last year's team. And he's just been really streaky, and unfortunately for the Bearcats, he's been streaking in the wrong direction during Big 12 play.
Yeah, he's really slipped. 15 points per game in the non-conference, down around 9. Everybody knows him pretty well. His game is on the offensive end, and if he's not making jump shots, really puts a limit on their team.
Cincinnati a 1-point lead. They're just 1 of 5 from the floor to start this game. But West Virginia 2 of 4. Dan Skillings makes his first appearance coming off the bench. Lob inside, Eduardo Andre draws the body contact, and he'll go to the free throw line. Darren DeVries, what a job he has done turn around this program in his first year at the helm for West Virginia. He was a fantastic coach, 2-time Missouri Valley Coach of the Year at Drake. Him and his son Tucker transferring, so to speak, to West Virginia. Tucker is out with an injury indefinitely. He would have been probably the best player on this team. But listen, Tim, this is a team in West Virginia. They won 4 conference games all of last year, and they're already at that point, and we're just starting the month of February.
Massive step forward, upward trajectory for West Virginia. And if you've got Small and DeVries as your 1-2 attack, it puts everybody else in a more comfortable role. Before the game when we talked, DeVries told us we can't stand hard cuts, solid screens, move the ball. That's the key to their offense.
Unclear if Tucker will come back and play this year, but right now Joe Lunardi projecting West Virginia into the NCAA tournament. Maybe we'll see Tucker DeVries in March if he's healthy. Here's Simas Lukosius, just swarmed on the low block, finds Dylan Mitchell missing the 3, and it's a rebound for West Virginia by Toby Oconee. Go back inside, Eduardo Andre misses with the left hand. Andre, who transferred over from Fresno State, 6'11", provides some good depth down low, and he gets the rim protection there with a block against Dylan Mitchell.
And that's what Eduardo does, and that block shot can serve as an outlet pass to jumpstart the fast break.
Kickball will take us to a timeout. 15 minutes and change to go here in the first half in Cincinnati. We promised defense. We're getting it. 6-6 ball game here in Cincinnati, Ohio. West Virginia, the Bearcats all knotted up at 6. Big 12 basketball here on ESPN Plus as we welcome you back inside Fifth Third Arena. That's Tim McCormick. I'm Eric Rothman. Happy to be here with you. And Tim, both these teams 3-game losing streaks, but you look at where Cincinnati was to start the season, what the expectations were. It's a must-win game at this point in the season for the Bearcats.
It's been painful, and they started out 10-1. They were number 16 in the country, and then on December 26th, it all kind of fell apart. They lost against Villanova. 1 month later, they went and lost 7 of 9 games, and their main problem is their shooting. They struggle, and they're 1 for 7 in this game to start.
You look at the bracketology for where Joe Lunardi has, Cincinnati has just kind of slowly trickled out of the postseason picture right now. Joe has them as quote-unquote considered. I would assume every team in the country is considered, but you look at where they has West Virginia right now as a 9 seed. Of course, you've got the kind of the workhorses of the Big 12, Houston and Iowa State up there as 2 seeds, but definitely not where Cincinnati fans were expecting them to be at this point in the season. But hey, a win against a tough West Virginia team could go a long way to turning things around. Still about 5 weeks left in the season, and you can make a resume to where you don't necessarily have to be above 500 in conference play to make the NCAA tournament, as Javon Small shows you exactly why he's the highest scorer per game in the Big 12, his second three-pointer of the game.
You know, the frustration for Cincinnati is they showed what they're capable of, right? And now the fans know that this team should be much more dangerous on the offensive end.
How about Javon Small pulling the trigger with a hand in his face, too?
Does a lot defensively. He's at the top of the scouting report. You know, to add to your point, you know, not long ago, I thought I'd be nice to my wife, and I vacuumed, and I did a load of laundry, and I emptied the dishwasher. The problem is I showed what I was capable of. Now she expects that all the time. After you have so many early wins, they beat Dayton, they beat Georgia Tech, they beat Ohio State in their scrimmage. Like, this is a team that has shown they're capable.
Xavier in the crosstown shootout this year is Day Thomas, a free throw line jumper, as Cincinnati, again, it's the offensive struggles that have been persistent. They are 2 for 8 from the floor here in this one, but only down by 1. Javon Small leading the way, spots up a 3. Two-man game up top with him and Eduardo Andre as Dylan Mitchell rips down the rebound. And Mitchell, one of the key transfers that this Bearcats team targeted in the portal this year, coming over from Texas. Slash there, but thrown away by Arrington Page, who just checked into the game during the timeout, the transfer from USC. Page, a mismatch defensively here against Small. Little give and go. The pass was behind Small. Bodies on the deck. I believe that's KJ Tenner tied up with Dylan Mitchell. Held ball possession in favor of the Mountaineers.
In a low-scoring game, you're really looking for opportunistic points. Can you get out in transition? Can you grab an offensive rebound, get some free throws? Both of these teams are in the same type of struggle.
Both teams, a lot of substitutions already through 6.5 minutes, as Tyler Betsy, the star freshman, 2-time Connecticut High School Player of the Year, checks into the game for the first time for the Bearcats, as well as Josh Reed. Skillings pokes that one out of bounds. Jonathan Powell is in there for West Virginia as Javon Small takes a breather on the bench. Wes Miller, who the NCAA tournament twice, he was the head coach of UNC Greensboro, has yet to bring the Bearcats to the NCAA tournament. His 4th season now here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Skillings is the guy that I'm watching really close. He's such a catalyst for this Bearcat team. And you may remember on the trip out to Utah against BYU and Utah, he played 2 games and grabbed a total of 2 rebounds. And he's actually come out and said that when I rebound, it really elevates everything I do.
To go along with that, in the last 3 games, Tim, he's only averaging 5 points per game. That's a killer for the Bearcats if he can't get going. Toby O'Connie turning around, hitting the fadeaway jumper. That's his 2nd field goal made in as many attempts today, and it's an 11-8 lead for West Virginia.
They're really good defensively here. This West Virginia team contests shots really well, and I can't tell you how important that is for the Bearcat psyche to knock down a 3.
2 of the 3 made field goals today for Cincinnati have been from 3 as the freshman Tyler Betsy hits that one. Tenner's pass out of the reach of Hansberry, and he stepped out of bounds. A turnover on West Virginia. That's their first of the game.
Tyler Betsy, a freshman shooter, made some big buckets against BYU. He's a solid contributor, and I think that he could really be impactful in this game.
Had reported offers from places like Alabama, Duke, UConn, chose to come to Cincinnati. Jizzle James, the son of NFL Hall of Famer Edgerrin James, just kind of flips that one off the backboard, too strong. As James still searching for his first bucket. Here's Sincere Harris weaving inside. Has the corner man, it's Jonathan Powell, and he hits the triple as West Virginia's 3 for 5 from deep. Oh, and Skillings took his eye off the ball. Sincere Harris's second steal of the half. Up ahead, rejected. It's the freshman Betsy who gets the best of Toby O'Connie. Back to O'Connie on the reset for the Mountaineers. Nearing 11.5 to go here in the first.
Eric, don't you think these teams must feel like they're looking in the mirror when they look at their opponent?
Very similar styles, makeup, personnel, offensive rebound, put back Amani Hansberry, the sophomore transfer from Illinois, former top 100 recruit out of high school, forces Wes Miller to call a timeout. 5-point lead for West Virginia as the Mountaineers getting a little momentum on the road with 11:21 to go in the first. Black History Month, student athletes are hitting the court wearing shooting shirts honoring Maya Angelou, reminding us all that if you're going to live, leave a legacy. It's all part of the Big 12's commitment to honoring legends and embracing the ethos of making a mark. Powerful message in honoring Black History Month. Eric Rothman, Tim McCormick here in Cincinnati. 11:21 to go in the first. Tim, Cincinnati down 5. You liked Wes Miller's choice to take a timeout there.
Yeah, I certainly did. 5 points is not a big deal, except with Cincinnati, it feels more like a 10 or 12 point deficit. They struggle to score so much. And here's what's important to keep reminding them. They're 3 for 10 from the field, and they've got 3 turnovers, but you cannot have a long-term memory. Let those plays go, because if you miss a couple threes and start to mope and feel bad about it, it's going to create a run for West Virginia.
And you and I have done a lot of talking about how the offense has struggled for Cincinnati, but in the 3-game losing streak, I think what has peeved Bearcats fans is they've given up an average of 54% shooting to their opponents, and they've been out-rebounded on average by 10 in those 3 games. And that's just something that, you know, the ethos of Cincinnati Bearcats basketball over the decades, you know, that's what gets fans frustrated.
Yeah, I think of Kenny Satterfield and Kenyon Martin and Sean Kilpatrick and Steve Logan. Like, those guys were really tough, and they were very good helping out on the glass. That's what I want to see from this team. That's not good defense right there, knowing where the corner is.
And knowing where Javon Small is. He's got 9 points now, 3 3-pointers, and West Virginia is shooting just under 50% from the floor. Small makes his mark defensively as well, standing up Day Thomas on that drive. It's an 8-0 run for the Mountaineers. Sincere Harris pulls up at the free throw circle. Whistle away from the ball. It is on Cincinnati.
Okay, I want you to notice there, when you close out, you have to be on balance and don't continue on in the corner. You know that Small is going to make a play, and if you compromise your defense, it's going to put everybody else in a bad position. Also, for the Bearcats on the last trip, you're not shooting well. Your field goal percentage is low. That's an opportunity for your big guys to go get an offensive rebound.
Nearly leaving Small open again for a 3-point look. Instead, it's Hansberry who takes a turn. And you hear the ovation from the fans while you were talking there, Tim. That's because Rayvon Griffith, the redshirt freshman, checked into the game. He's a local kid out of Taft High School. Gets the ball down low here, goes up and scores.
Did you see that delivery by Day Thomas? That was beautiful.
Thomas with the assist, a little energy in the building thanks to Rayvon Griffith.
You're not going to see much post play either way. Big guys roaming the perimeter, setting screens.
Pick and roll here to Hansberry. Bandego sniffs it out. 2 to shoot. Deep threes. Joseph Yesufu buries it. Dagger from Yesufu, the Washington State transfer who played well against Houston with 9 points in the loss. And that's what West Virginia needs, and they need these role players to support Javon Small and help out with the offense. 9 minutes to go here in the half. Give and go, well executed, and it's going to send Small to the line after Bandego's called for the block. That's his second foul of the game.
Sometimes we break down so many different stats, assist turnover ratio, but this is a case of the better shooting team is winning this game. But Day Thomas threw a beautiful pass. If he would have thrown a chest pass, it gets stolen. By putting it on the deck, It went right where the defense couldn't get it.
Just put a button on it. West Virginia, Tim, 47% from the floor. Cincinnati, 27%. Not going to be enough to keep up with Javon Small if you're only going to shoot sub 30% from the floor. As Amani Hansberry will take a break. Jonathan Powell back out there, as well as Eduardo Andre. And how about the transformation of Javon Small year over year? He was a good player at Oklahoma State, but nothing like he's been this year.
And think about his job description. Go out there, run the offense, a primary defender, push the break, be the leader of the team, and oh yeah, go give me 25 points
right.
too. There's a lot on his plate.
Right, and almost if you don't get us 25 points, we're not going to win the ball game. Day Thomas was just not looking for the pass. Lukosius had it intercepted by Eduardo Andre. A turnover on the Bearcats, their fourth. 12-2 run here for West Virginia. Andre was calling for it, just couldn't corral it midair. The alley-oop attempt is missed. Harris gets in the passing lane again. Loose ball picked up by Jonathan Powell, but Sincere Harris over the past 2 games has been so good defensively for this West Virginia team. Remember
against Houston, the Cougars, who I think are the best defensive team in the country, they were doing whatever they wanted offensively. It was Harris who brought his lockdown style, and in the second half, it was a really nice response.
Second foul on Sincere Harris. That was an issue for Harris in the game against Houston. He picked up his 4th foul with about 10 minutes to go in that game, and that really slowed the momentum for West Virginia. They also lost Javon Small for about 5 minutes in that second half, had a knee injury, but I mean, with the way he's shooting here today, appears that he's perfectly fine.
We showed that last pass by Seamus. That was not his fault.
No.
That was a good delivery, and Day was never even looking.
Lukosius off the curl, and that ends a 6-0 run for West Virginia. And Cincinnati has shot the 3-point ball very well. Now 4 of 5 from 3. That's almost all of their field goals made today have come from 3. Small, oh, he goes down hard, Tim. He hit his head. Put back from Eduardo Andre. Small pops back up, but that did not look like it felt good for Javon Small.
A big opportunity for the Bearcats. This is a trip where you want to make sure you get a good look.
It was a decent look for Day Thomas. Offensive rebound for Page. And I should have said 3 made 3-pointers so far for Cincinnati. They've made 5 field goals total, 3 of them from distance. Arrington Page, double teamed, lost it. Can't have the big guy dribbling that long. Now Small. Nobody gets in front of him. And Javon Small is in double figures here with 7 minutes to go. Just under 7 minutes to go in the first half. And some words between the West Virginia team and the Cincinnati fans. Javon Small pushing the pace. Nobody stepping up. West Virginia up by 13. DeVries, his first season in Morgantown, bringing in an entire new roster. Last year's team went 9-23. There's only 1 scholarship player still on the roster this year. Doesn't really even play. You see some of the big names who transferred from other schools. Tucker DeVries, of course, coming with his dad from Drake. Javon Small, the big get from Oklahoma State. Hansberry from Illinois. Guys like Sincere Harris, who came from Illinois as well. So, you know, they have had an impact immediately, and that's what the transfer portal can do, Tim, is you can completely reshape a roster in a couple of months.
And when you look at the impact of these players, they're I mean, I can't call DeVries definitely their best player, but he and Small are 1A and 2A. And if DeVries can get healthy again, you're talking about a team that's going to play in the NCAA with a chance to advance. He gets you about 17, 18 points per game, but he also has gravity. The defense knows exactly where he's at, and they are always coming to help out.
Joseph Yesufu, the hand check foul as Aziz Bandego checks back in for Cincinnati. Okay, so Tim, the game plan, and we talked to Darren DeVries before the game. He was joking. He's like, listen, everybody knows what the defensive game plan is when you play us. It's you got to stop Javon Small. The problem is nobody seems to be able to do it. He's got 12 points here, and Cincinnati just has not been able to adjust and put a stop to it.
I would mix up the looks. I would switch some. I would double. I would ice, which means keep the ball screen on the same side of the court. The problem is he's so quick and creative, and his teammates flourish off of his driving.
Day Thomas hoping to draw a whistle on that deep three. This game was tied, Tim, 11-11 to 12:47 mark. It's an 18-5 run since then. West Virginia has shot 7 of 13 in that stretch, and Cincinnati's turned it over 4 times. Small tried to thread the needle there, and a kick ball called. Bandego said that he got his hand on it first, but referee Doug Schaus disagrees. Doug, joined by Roger Ayers and Terry Oglesby, as our officials today.
To put the offensive challenges to the forefront, Cincinnati's got 5 buckets. 3 of them are threes, so that means they only have 2 two-pointers in this contest.
Under 6 minutes to go here in the opening half at Fifth Third Arena. Eric Rothman, Tim McCormick with you. Javon Small being chased by Day Thomas. Lobs it up and finds Eduardo Andre for the dunk. Tried to run that play a couple times, and finally they execute.
With this lineup, Eric, who's the go-to guy?
For Cincinnati?
Yeah.
It's got to be Skillings, but he's struggled offensively recently. We've talked about it. He's got the ball here. Day Thomas for 3. He knocks down his second three-pointer of the game. So maybe it's Day Thomas.
The reason I ask the question is you do need a go-to guy. Good teams have 3 or 4 double-figure scorers. Cincinnati has no Bearcats in the top 25 in Big 12 play. That is a problem.
Just 61 points per game in Big 12 scoring this season. Cincinnati has not found, as Tim mentioned, that go-to lineup of guys that can score consistently. 4 to shoot now. A deep 3 for Jonathan Powell. Has too much pepper on it. 31-19 to score, and a foul as Lukosius was driving. It's on KJ Tenner.
Let's take a look at some recent success. Beautiful drive, lob threat going inside to Eduardo, and at the other end, beautiful pass. I like the fact that Day Thomas, when he shoots, he's almost like a statue. You want to land in your footprints, hold your follow through, no movement whatsoever.
Thomas getting his first start of the season, 8 points to lead all Bearcats scores. Tyler Betsy, the freshman, had a big three-pointer earlier coming off the bench. Here's Skillings, still scoreless in this game. Thomas, a deep 3. And Mitchell fighting for the offensive rebound, bodies into the West Virginia bench. And it's Bearcat basketball.
When Cincinnati, let's take a look at the hustle. Cincinnati was up at half against the Kansas Jayhawks. They scored 14 points the entire second half. And if I was going to try to identify the #1 weakness for this team, it's shooting and avoiding scoring droughts.
Reed checks into the game for Cincinnati, a smaller lineup with Aziz Bandego on the bench. Tyler Betsy short on the three-point attempt. Mitchell, the offensive rebound. Good work on the glass here in this possession for the Bearcats. Just can't convert to a field goal. Stolen away. Small coughed it right back up. Numbers now for the Bearcats. Skillings, Day Thomas playing hot potato, and it's Dylan Mitchell to clean it up.
You know, good hustle as a secondary scorer. It really looked like Skillings or Day was going to get the finish, and because it didn't work out, nice follow.
31-21, a 10-point lead. Small has already made 3 three-pointers in the half. Misses that one there. Bearcats looking for some momentum as Skillings airballed the 3, and it's out of bounds. Last touched by Cincinnati.
Yeah, how do you get a bucket when you need it bad? You go against an unset defense. Not a great pass, but good hustle and finish by Mitchell.
3.5 minutes to go here in the first. Eric Rothman, Tim McCormick, Fifth Third Arena. Cincinnati down 10, Tim, but showing some scrappiness. West Virginia scoreless in the last 2 minutes and change. We've seen Cincinnati get active on the offensive glass and just trying to persevere and find some flow.
Eric, the term I would share with the Cincinnati players right now is ignore the noise. There's a lot of haters out there. Once you start winning, everything will change. And I always believe there's 20 voices that really matter to a basketball team. The 15 players and the 5 coaches, and they've got to just stay committed to their game plan, keep executing the offense to the best of their ability. So far, their shooting has been poor. That can change in a hurry.
Baseline cut for Small off his fingertips, but it was off a leg of Josh Reed. So ball will stay with West Virginia. See the turnovers there as well. Cincinnati well ahead in the turnover margin. Not something Wes Miller will be happy about in the locker room. Small stripped, good hands. Jizzle James got the steal. Dylan Mitchell just head straight, not looking for the basketball, and James threw him the pass anyway.
That's happened a couple times. It happened to Skillings. It happened there to Mitchell. When you're running, I mean, especially because there have been very few fast break opportunities for the Bearcats, that's the #1 time when you've got to look for the ball.
8th turnover on Cincinnati. West Virginia has just 3. So hard to get offensive momentum when you're giving up fast break opportunities like that.
I saw a stat that I really like. I'm going to hold it for a second.
Yeah, hold it for this.
Nice offense.
Amani Hansberry, good assist there. Number 3 on the day from Javon Small.
The team with the most turnovers loses 72% of games. Got to take care of the ball.
Josh Reed holding it like a halfback, galloping into the lane, but he coughed it up. That is turnover number 9 on Cincinnati. Under 2.5 minutes to play here in the first half. O'Connor had a couple buckets early. He's been quiet since. And some jostling down low. It's a foul on Jizzle James, his first. Cincinnati has 4 team fouls. West Virginia has 5. It's been a pretty clean first half in terms of whistles.
Fast pace. In these half-court settings, I'm remarking on Small's ability to play with a great base. You talked about how at the other end, running through the hole like a halfback. Small has great balance, and you can't really knock him off of his gait.
Lob intended for O'Connor was knocked loose. That's a turnover off the inbound. Skillings just can't get the lid off the bucket. No points for Dan Skillings here in this first half as the offensive struggles continue for one of the Bearcats' better offensive players. And that's the second time in this half Javon Small has gone to the lane and absolutely nobody has stood in his way.
No shot blocking, no resistance. The defense for Cincinnati is so spread out.
14 points now for Javon Small. Koshis, not sure how he caught that one, but he's blocked from behind by O'Connor. Small to his left this time. Flips it off inside. Hansberry muscles it up and in over Day Thomas.
That was good recognition. Mismatch. Thomas is too small to be able to cover Hansberry in the paint.
Largest lead of the game for West Virginia at 16. And the Bearcats just look all out of sorts. Under a minute to go. Luke Koshis got his own rebound and a whistle.
It's really hard to imagine a better scenario for West Virginia. Look at the size difference. No help coming. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. It's really a challenge because this Cincinnati team at one point was 10-1, number 16 in the country, and then they went through a stretch between December 26th and January 26th, in which they lost 7 of 9 games. And that free fall really seems to have taken the confidence away from the Bearcat players.
Both of these teams on 3-game losing streaks. Timeout taken by West Virginia under a minute to go. Coming up at the half, get to know Bearcats forward Dan Skillings. Some news from around the Big 12. What a day it was yesterday. Upsets all over the place in the Big 12. And we'll get you some first half highlights and stats here from Fifth Third Arena. Well, we have a moment here, Tim. Any of those upsets in the Big 12 yesterday that stood out to you more than others?
Well, the Kansas game, they're up comfortably, and they gave up a 16-0 run to Baylor. I like Baylor a great deal. But the more I watch Kansas, I have to say, that's not the typical Jayhawk team we've come to know and love and respect. They just don't seem to have the playmakers they've had in the past.
We talk about playmakers. We've got one in this game. Javon Small, 14 points on 5 of 8 shooting. And what has impressed me, I got to call the game for West Virginia the other day against Houston. It was a loss. But one thing that strikes me about Javon Small is how vocal and active and how high of a basketball IQ he has. He is constantly directing and pointing and moving guys around, identifying defenses. He's almost like a middle linebacker or a quarterback trying to audible at the line. It's really great to watch.
Yeah, he lost weight from last year, and it seems to help his quickness. He gets wherever he wants. You can't really press this team because Small will just clear everybody out, and I think he's got a great swagger.
Double team him there. Good attempt by Cincinnati, but still West Virginia gets out of it, at least for the moment. And then Jonathan Powell throws it away. We'll see if Cincinnati can get some momentum heading into the locker room. J.D. Thomas, baseline knocked out of bounds with 31.5 seconds to go.
Pretty good response by Wes Miller. He's a defensive coach. Man-to-man is his preference. Remember, he was a player at North Carolina, so he understands the defensive fundamentals. But sometimes a coach will try to press and trap just to give an energy infusion to their team.
Cincinnati 1 through the last 7 from the field. Lukosius misses that one short. Now 1 for their last 8. And then Reed gets bodied. Toby O'Connie called for his second foul.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see more of. When your team is shooting 7 for 26 from the field, there are plenty offensive rebound opportunities that are available. Thought that O'Connie stayed up and down, but the hustle was rewarded by Josh Reed.
Reed to the free throw line. And one bright note for Cincinnati in terms of effort here in this first half, Tim, is the offensive rebounding. They've done a good job. They've got 8 offensive rebounds. They're actually +2 on the glass overall. So, you know, showing the willingness to go after those 50-50 balls. It's just, you talked about it, 7 for 27 from the floor. They can't get it to go up and in.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Cincinnati locker room at halftime. I'm sure that it's going to be a fire and brimstone type of speech. And the nice thing is, because it's a low-scoring game, they're only down 12 points. Get a bucket, a stop, and all of a sudden you're right there.
Shot clock turned off. Final 10 seconds of the half here in Cincinnati. Small. Yesufu with 3 to shoot. Knocks down the triple. Joseph Yesufu has only attempted 2 field goals in the half. Both were made threes. That one, a dead-eye triple to end the half and put West Virginia up by 15.
And the significant number here is 40. By knocking this shot down, West Virginia is on pace for 80 points. That's too many for Cincinnati. They're not going to be comfortable with that speed game.
15-point lead for the Mountaineers here at the half. To do if they want to snap their 3-game losing streak and send these fans home happy. More from Fifth Third Arena when we return in a moment. A 40-25 lead at the half here in Cincinnati. The West Virginia Mountaineers on top of the Cincinnati Bearcats here at Fifth Third Arena. We welcome you back inside here on a Sunday afternoon alongside Tim McCormick. I'm Eric Rothman, and Tim, we talked about this being a defensive battle going into it, but maybe more surprising, the West Virginia offense, 55% shooting in that first half, their best first half shooting all season long.
West Virginia put on a master class in offensive efficiency. Yeah, they're on pace for 80 points. They shot exceptionally well, 55%. Why? Because they had layup after layup after layup. 18-4 West Virginia advantage in the paint. And with all that physicality against a defense from Cincinnati that is supposed to be able to generate turnovers, only 5 giveaways for the Mountaineers. I thought they were exceptional.
Bearcats, they need to find something. They got Day Thomas in the starting lineup today for the first time. He was good offensively in that first half. They're going to need a lot more, though. Yeah,
if you like good guard play, sit back. You're going to like Day and what he did. In the first half, he was aggressive after his first start. He had 8 points, ran the offense a little bit, and on the defensive end, very, very important as a catalyst trying to deal with Small. And that's not an easy job. Javon Small might be the best guard in the Big 12. 14 points. He did it with ease. 5 assists. Had a couple turnovers, but that's because he's trying to make great plays out there. Javon Small is one of my favorite players in the conference. And you see the way, with high IQ, he used the screen to get a layup. One-on-one. Nobody stays in front of him. And if you're breaking down the defense as easy as he can, you can expect efficient offense. Once again, the turnovers for West Virginia were really good. For Cincinnati, 9 is a big number.
Cincinnati, 5th time this year. They've had 25 points or less in the first half. The previous 4 games, they are 1-3. The only time they won in a situation like that was a win earlier in the non-conference against Dayton. You look at the last 3 points per game for West Virginia. I mean, you wouldn't have expected what they've done here today. If you've just looked at the 3-game losing streak, you said, oh, well, maybe Darren DeVries' guys have kind of hit the wall. Maybe they weren't as good as people thought they were, but they're breaking out here today on the road.
They certainly are, and their defense has been good as advertised. And, Eric, if I'm piling on, let me know. I don't want to do that, but Cincinnati has 7 baskets, 9 turnovers. Yeah. I've never seen anybody win a game if they have more turnovers than hoops.
The numbers do not lie, as it says. We start the second half here in Cincinnati. Bearcats with the basketball, shooting just 26% from the floor in that first half. Simas Lukosius with 8 points. Him and Day Thomas tied for the leading scorer on the Bearcats team. Missing a 3 to start the second frame.
And in the second half, Skilling's coming off the bench. He didn't start today. He's basically started his whole career for Cincinnati, so that's an adjustment. I think Wes Miller is really trying to search for something that's going to click for this team on the offensive end.
Skilling scoreless in that first half, coming off the bench. 0 for 2 from the floor.
0 rebounds. What did you say about his rebounding?
It's been struggling as of late, and they need him to rebound. And it seems like rebounding also gets him motivated, gets him going on the offensive end. Just hasn't been hitting the glass. Josh Reed starting the second half for the Bearcats. Reed's been a nice role player the past couple of years. Doesn't play a ton of minutes.
I think Dylan Mitchell is a key guy. He's so talented, former McDonald's All-American, superb athlete. Yeah, I'd like to see him more aggressive on the offensive end.
Another offensive rebound for this Bearcats team. It's 9 offensive rebounds on the game. They just have not been able to convert, only 6 second chance points. Mitchell might have got a piece from it on the shot by Amani Hansberry. Either way, both teams scoreless now, a minute and a half plus into the second half. Mitchell faces up, lobs it inside to Aziz Bandago. And that's the first bucket for Big Aziz, the 7-footer for Cincinnati.
Not much post action for the Bearcats. If they could solidify their big guys inside, I don't see a lot of shot blocking for West Virginia. You'd think that'd be an area they can attack.
Foul on Dylan Mitchell. That'll be his second.
You know, if they're not going to give it to you on an offensive, consistent basis, that was a great cut, being able to stay active, get those hands high. big guys have to get demanding of the ball, like, give it to me, put your arms out there. I always feel like make yourself look like a 747 with a long wingspan.
Aziz Bandego has got some long arms, can definitely do that. Toby Okani wiggles his way to the elbow. Team rebounding there as Mitchell fights off two of his teammates to pull down the board. Foul away from the ball as Eduardo Andre and Aziz Bandego got tied up, and it's a foul on Andre. That's his first.
So here's the game plan. Your big guy just gets a bucket. He had not been very involved. Go back to him. You get a bucket, you feel big and strong and powerful, and that's where you go to him. If you could establish your low post action, I think that this is an area that the Bearcats can exploit.
You get Mitchell involved too on the offensive end. 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting for the star transfer. Been quiet. Bandego backing down Andre. Andre leaning on him. Bandego, no whistle, a lot of contact. Wes Miller not happy about it. West Virginia 6 of 11 from 3 in that first half. Javon Small had 3 of them. Small can't get the roll. West Virginia still searching for its first points of the second half. And Eduardo Andre has picked up back-to-back fouls for the Mountaineers.
Let's take a look at the action inside. Good drive, good finish. Little action on the offensive glass. So the last couple of trips, Small has been covering Lukosius. There's a big size advantage, and I know that Lukosius likes to play on the perimeter more, but that might be something they could look to do as well. Small, boy, got hammered along the baseline on the screen by Bandego.
Yeah, it's a foul against Bandego. Will send the ball the other way. Couldn't tell, Tim. Might have been a hip check, but either way, it was a third foul on Aziz Bandego.
A little bit better shooting by West Virginia. They've struggled 22% from 3. Their post has been inconsistent.
Another big round of applause for Rayvon Griffith. Checked in, gave some energy off the bench. Redshirt freshman, again, local product out of Taft High School. Fans love to see him get into the game.
A little full court pressure to bring the energy. Don't think it's going to generate any turnovers by West Virginia, but it sends a message to the players.
Whistle this time against the Bearcats underneath, away from the ball as the pass was entering into the lane. Fouls on Rayvon Griffith.
So he said he wrapped his arms around him. He was setting it on his hip. I did not see a foul on that play.
Referees Roger Ayers, Doug Shows, and Terry Oglesby. Not a ton of whistles in the first half. We got quite a few to start the second. And Javon Small, his 4th three-pointer in 6 attempts today. And Sincere Harris, the pickpocket. He's been a thief the past few games for West Virginia. Spots up a 3. And I got to tell you, for as good as he is defensively, Sincere Harris has been an awful three-point shooter this year. He's now 4 for 42 on the year.
I would count that as poor.
Count the bucket and a foul against West Virginia. A chance for a three-point play. Foul against Amani Hansberry will send us to a break.
So what's the best strategy here? How about give the ball to Small, clear out Javon Small, one of the best shooters in the Big 12.
Harris, menace on the defensive end for this West Virginia team. And it's been helping getting West Virginia going, and Javon Small, 17 points to lead the way. 15:35 to go here in the second half. West Virginia 13-7 overall on the season, 4-5 in conference play. They've lost 3 in a row. Cincinnati 12-8 overall, 2-7 in Big 12 play. They've also lost 3 in a row. Somebody's going to come out of Fifth Third Arena with a win and snap that streak here today. Cincinnati trailing, but that helps. We'd said that Dylan Mitchell needed to get going offensively. Gets the lob out of the timeout from Simas Lukosius.
I love to watch a coach during a timeout dial something up, and it works so well. And this is really a fun matchup to watch here. James has been quiet in this contest.
No points for Jizzle James. Soft touch, Toby Okani. Transferred over from the University of Illinois Chicago, where it was a Missouri Valley all-defensive team. Played against Darren DeVries when DeVries was the coach at Drake. James collides with Harris, and it's Harris called for a block. That's his 3rd foul.
Yeah, Lukosius, as a playmaker, he's got a big size advantage, and small is too small to be able to affect the pass. And it's always fun to watch the response of a player when he gets a powerful type of dunk.
Mitchell now with 4 points, does have 10 rebounds. It's 1 off his season high. Pick and roll, but option there. James keeps it himself, misses the finger roll.
That was puzzling.
Yeah. Jizzle James now 0 for 5 from the floor. Small, step back 3, got a little push off. Skilling's the rebound. You talked about it, Tim, but he gets himself going when he's active on the glass.
Keep an eye on him, and I would try to get him the ball. Once again, KJ Tenner is covering Skillings.
Yeah.
If he stands in the corner like that, he's no threat.
Immediately gives the ball back to Raymond Griffith. Power dribble, throws it up, and he'll go to the free throw line. You know, going back to your point right there about Skillings, I think that has been, in my opinion, the downside of Skillings the past 2 years is that for all the skill he possesses and all the potential he shows, and he has some great games to his resume, there are so many times in games where it seems like he just kind of disappears, where he stands in one spot and he's not active and aggressive trying to get the basketball. In that situation right there, you know, he's supposed to be the star of the show on this team. He gets the ball for a half a second and immediately dumps it off to Rayvon Griffith. And no disrespect to Rayvon, but Rayvon's a guy who barely plays and is not an impact player.
Skilling is going against guards right now in the half-court offense, and that's his opportunity to go inside. Versus Utah, Dan Skilling's 1 for 9 from the field with 1 rebound. Versus BYU, 1 rebound again. He's got 1 rebound in this game, but they need some points. They're down 12, and at this pace, West Virginia's, they're pretty comfortable.
Yeah. Small to Hansberry. Small talking about shouting out the directions, pointing at his teammates. Tries to spin that one inside. Hansberry saves it from going out of bounds and finishes with the left hand.
See, that's what I want to see from Skillings. If you're going to put a big guy against a guard, you have to be able to punish them in the paint, because if you don't, the advantage is for the quickness of the guards.
Hansberry, 8 points, 8 rebounds now for the Mountaineers. Day Thomas tries his luck at a 3. Good hands by Skillings. He tried to tap it out to Day, but it was intercepted, and the Mountaineers take possession with 13:08 to go here in the second half. You see the points in the paint differential as West Virginia just driving in, and Javon Small will go to the free throw line with his 17 points. Day Thomas picks up his first, team's 4th.
Yeah. Off the dribble, once again, look at the balance and the low center of gravity for Small. Number 1 scorer in the Big 12. That's big time. If you go back in time, can you imagine all of the leaders in scoring in the Big 12? I mean, just littered with NBA names. 15 points per game at East Carolina. 15 points per game at Oklahoma State. And he's gone even higher this year at West Virginia.
To go back to something we talked about in the first half about Small is that with Tucker DeVries out for West Virginia, every team that plays West Virginia says, okay, all we have to do is stop Small. They don't have a secondary scorer who can, go off like a smaller DeVries. And yet game in and game out, nobody can stop it.
At shoot-around today, Wes Miller said Javon Small about 25 times. Everything that they were talking about was dealing with his speed and his quickness. And here's Cincinnati. I want to update a statistic. The Bearcats have 10 baskets and 11 turnovers.
Javon Small takes a seat on the bench, 19 points, 6 assists. Day Thomas wildly into the lane. All batted around. Joseph Yesufu, who played for Coach DeVries at Drake for a couple years, transferred to Kansas and then Washington State on his 4th stop now.
But look how stagnant the offense gets when Small sits down. Who's going to score with this lineup?
That's a tough shot for Andre, who was pushed out to about 8 feet. A little outside of his range for the jump hook. Jizzle James just trying to create something. Absolutely nothing going his way. He's 0 for 6 from the floor.
Eric, West Virginia looks like an NCAA team to me. They do a lot of things I really like, and when you consider they beat Gonzaga, Kansas, Arizona, Iowa State, they certainly have a really good resume.
Yeah. They do. They've also got some perplexing losses as well. Most recently Arizona State, Kansas State, which now obviously looks like a better win with what Kansas State, a loss I should say, what Kansas State did against Iowa State, as Tyler Betsy lays it in on the 3-on-2 break for the Bearcats. It seems like Cincinnati is, maybe they're not converting each time down the floor, but you see the sense of urgency, trying to get quick possessions and quick buckets.
Wes Miller there yelling at his guys after the buckets to get out there and try to explore some full court pressure.
Betsy, after the steal by Bandego, was knocked to the ground. 3rd foul on Toby O'Connie, and we'll take a break with 11:17 to go in the second half. Eric Rothman, Tim McCormick here with you in Cincinnati. Tim was talking about it before the break. The West Virginia looks like an NCAA tournament team, and Joe Lunardi, Tim, agrees with you. Right now he has West Virginia penciled in as a 9 seed. Joe, he's always crunching the numbers, he's sending us daily emails with his rankings and lines and people moving around. And West Virginia right now, net ranking 46. You mentioned it before the break, Tim, but 3 wins, I should say, over top 10 opponents. And you got to feel like with how deep the Big 12 is this year, you come away with 9, 10, 11 wins, you should be a tournament team.
Yeah, I rank the SEC number 1. I think the Big 12 is 2 and Big 10 is 3. And if you look at the ranked wins that West Virginia has, Javon Small has averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. So when they play their best opponents, he's the best player on the court.
Simas Lukosius gets the handoff. Sincere Harris pulls down the rebound as Lukosius now 1 for 7 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3.
You'd have to say that Lukosius has been probably the biggest frustration for the fans and the coaches because he was so good in the non-conference.
Harris, another steal. And ball knocked out of bounds. It will stay with West Virginia. Sincere Harris, listen, he may not be a threat on the offensive end, but he is everywhere defensively for this West Virginia team.
A nice hustle getting back after a mistake. It looked to me like Bandego may have blocked this shot with his chest.
Yeah, touched first by Day Thomas and into the chest of Bandego. West Virginia, it's been quiet 2.5 minutes without a point. Joseph Yesufu angling in. He had 9 points against Houston. And he has been coming on as of late. And 9 points in the game against Houston. He was scoreless in 3 of the 5 games prior to that. So a nice rebound here midway through the conference season for Joseph Yesufu. That ball knocked out of bounds.
I want to signal danger zone for Cincinnati. They're down 16, a little over 10 to go. Now, the problem is a lot of teams can make a comeback, but if you're playing against a West Virginia team that's doing a good job with their ball security, and the Bearcats don't make threes, it makes it really difficult. They can't afford to fall down anymore.
Cincinnati shooting just 27% from the floor in this game. The foul against West Virginia. It's on Javon Small. And it puts Cincinnati in the bonus, so there's something that can help the Bearcats if they can draw some whistles. Simas Lukosius to the free throw line. He's 5 for 5 from the stripe today.
Probably the top three-point weapon. Talented driver, floater skills. Played for Thad Matta at Butler. A lot of high screen and roll action by West Virginia.
There's a screen and a fall as Eduardo Andre tripped up.
Boy, look at him run back, though. Good hustle.
And into the passing lane, it's Jonathan Powell. And Powell, the one-hand throwdown, gets the West Virginia bench on their feet. Largest lead of the game, and the Boo Birds are out at Fifth Third Arena.
Play of the game so far for West Virginia. Eduardo hustles back, and that makes it easy for Powell to get in transition and then get to the Mountaineers by 18, and the most important category is hustle plays. I want you to watch Eduardo. He missed the shot. He's behind the play. He's 0. And his teammate Powell has to help on his man under the basket. When Powell got out to cover his man, he was able to get into the passing lane. 17 points off of Cincinnati turnovers has been a huge key so far for West Virginia.
Largest lead of the game for West Virginia. 17 points off turnovers, as Tim mentioned. 9:38 to go. And why not, Jonathan Powell? Sing along to the song playing in Fifth Third Arena. West Virginia trying to improve to 500 in Big 12 conference play. Cincinnati, Tim, with the basketball. You look at their big three offensively. Jizzle James, Simas Lukosius, and Dan Skillings. They've gone a combined 1 for 15 from the floor in this game.
There's nothing else to say.
I think they're paying us to finish the game, though. Jizzle James in the corner, 1 for 16, airballed that one. And Dan Skillings gets his first bucket of the game.
Wes Miller is imploring his guys to get up and get into the full court pressure, and they're just not doing it.
Jizzle James with a forearm on the backside of Javon Small, and Small swats him away.
You know, West Virginia, this is a big win for them. Schedule does not get easier.
And a shot clock violation. If West Virginia can hold on today, they'll go on the road against TCU, and then home games against Utah and BYU.
That TCU game might be in the low 50s, two of the lowest scoring teams in the Big 12.
West Virginia's showed some spurts of good offense here in this one. They've slowed down, though, here in this second half. Just 13 points in the second half for West Virginia, but Cincinnati hasn't been able to capitalize. Just 12 points for them. Lukosius blocked by Andre. Lukosius has struggled shooting from the perimeter, so trying to mix things up, but West Virginia having nothing of it. Joseph Yesufu rattles in another one. He's got 11 points, the second Mountaineer in double-figure scoring.
You know, you're right about Lukosius. He's their top three-point shooter, but notice who covers him. It's always a guard. If he could somehow go inside, I think that would offer a lot of opportunities for him to get other buckets.
Yesufu pressing the pace after the defensive rebound. Yesufu, back-to-back threes. Joseph Yesufu, 14 points, a perfect 5 of 5 from the floor, 4 of them three-pointers.
West Virginia is in the feel-good zone from 3. They're spreading the court, they're sharing the job, and we have a little bit of a blowout by.
Well, those country roads have taken West Virginia to a few ranked wins this season, defeating Gonzaga in the battle for Atlantis in an overtime win. It was also in that tournament. Arizona was ranked 24th at the time. Arizona playing some really good basketball lately in conference play, knocking off Kansas on the road in Lawrence, and that really put West Virginia back on the map, put them into the top 25. They also have a win against then number 2 Iowa State. All of this, or most of this I should say, Tim, without that guy, Tucker DeVries. We don't know the status of his upper body injury, if he were to come back or not, but he adds another dimension to this team if he can get back out on the floor.
Well, they become so much more dangerous from the perimeter. West Virginia is 10-1 this year when they outshoot their opponents, so he would certainly help in that area. I also like the fact that they show that they're capable of multiple speed. Their first 2 wins, 86 and 83 points, but they also beat Kansas by scoring in the low 60s.
Second foul on Joseph Yesufu. To put a button on it, Tim, Tucker DeVries, 3 years at Drake playing for his dad, is the 5th most points scored in the NCAA since the 21-22 season. Over 1,800 career points, so that's a huge weapon if they can get him back at any point this season. Josh Reed at the free throw line. Eric Rothman, Tim McCormick here with you. So if you're West Virginia, you snap, it looks like you're going to be able to snap that 3-game losing streak. There are some winnable games on the schedule coming up. You'll finish the season with tough games against, UCF, who right now is a projected tournament team. They have to go on the road against Texas Tech, on the road against Baylor. So you got to think the target 9-10 wins probably for what they want their resume to be going into March in a conference play. 9
wins, and I feel confident. 10 wins, and I know it's a fact.
Yeah. Darren DeVries, first-year head coach. What a turnaround it's been. He was a great coach at Drake. 6 straight 20-plus win seasons. Took the Bulldogs to the NCAA tournament 3 times, trying to do it in Morgantown in his first season. He's a long-time assistant at Creighton under Dan McDermott, excuse me. And you take a look at their upcoming schedule.
Well, I've been here a few times. I've never heard this building so quiet.
Yeah.
Cincinnati basketball has passionate fans that have really high expectations. Wes Miller's not happy, the fans are not happy, and the players, to me, look like they're frustrated.
Skillings, interception, missed the finger roll, got his own board and put it back in. Four points for Dan Skillings Jr. 6.5 minutes to go here in the second half for the Bearcats. They've got a tough schedule as well. They go on the road at UCF before home games against BYU, Utah, and then on the road against Iowa State.
Now, if West Virginia is going to continue their strong play, they need to do a better job of running through their offense with urgency, trying to get the ball to the paint. They played a lot of perimeter-oriented offense in this game, and I think that if they can get inside out, it would help them a great deal. Nice drive.
You see the difference of when Dan Skillings is aggressive and asserting himself compared to when he's standing and waiting for the action to happen around him. That's a great drive on the baseline with 6 minutes to go.
Well, he also is doing a better job on the glass. When he rebounds, he plays better. He had that play in transition, got an offensive rebound from that.
Skillings up to 6 points now.
You know, when I watch Cincinnati play, when I studied them on tape, they have too many guys that you look at them and say, yeah, I like the way he does this, I like the way he does that, but they don't seem like they're playing with great passion and energy right now.
And right now, Cincinnati 2-7 in conference play. And I think talking about that energy and talking about that activity, especially on the defensive end, that's been a calling card for Cincinnati basketball for so long. You look at the Utah game last week, you go on the road, you lose against Utah, but you get out-rebounded by 18. And it's not like Utah is some world beater. that possesses some skill that Cincinnati doesn't have. A lot of that's just effort plays.
Well, you talked about that game. The turnovers were stunning in favor of the Bearcats. They only turned it over 6 times, forced 19 turnovers, and lost the game. It's hard for that to happen.
Vaughn Small has been quiet here in the second half, just 2 points. Turnover on West Virginia, getting a little sloppy here.
West Virginia's been on that 59 for quite a while. Lead down to 16.
Yeah, they've been on that 59 plateau for 2 minutes and 14 seconds with a 6-0 run here for Cincinnati.
Get a 3, get a stop, get a 3, and all of a sudden the complexion changes a great deal. As I look at Cincinnati, their offense problems are really predictable. They're 14th in Big 12 scoring, 15th in threes. They only shoot 64% from the free throw line. You can run all the plays you want. If guys can't shoot, then what are you going to do?
4 of 14 from 3 today. They've shot 31% from the field. Day Thomas gets the bucket. It is an 8-0 run, so Cincinnati kind of clawing their way back in here, but time not on their side. 3 to shoot. Time was not on West Virginia's side either. It's a steal by Skillings. Griffith off balance. No whistle. And a big opportunity missed there for Cincinnati. Here's Small inside. Good feed. Toby O'Connor, the recipient of the assist, as Javon Small has 9 assists to go along with his 19 points.
And Darren DeVries can take a breath. They had been on 59 for several minutes. We expected the pace to be in the 60s. I didn't know that Cincinnati was going to play most of the first and second half in droughts.
The turnaround jumper for Dylan Mitchell. Well, despite that long drought, it's still relatively even in terms of points scored here in the second half. Cincinnati 22, West Virginia 21.
Really, throughout much of this game, the offense for West Virginia could be called the Javon Small Show. He makes everybody's job so much easier.
Another steal for Dan Skillings. Griffith in the corner. Rayvon Griffith, the 3. 7 points for the local kid.
This is the response that Wes Miller has been looking for, and a big part of it is that full court pressure.
Bodies hitting the deck. Still somebody down. It's Toby O'Connor holding his left leg.
So Wes Miller wants to know, why isn't that over and back? He's furious.
Talking to referee Terry Oglesby. Toby O'Connor still on his back on the floor, being tended to by the trainers. We'll check on him when we return. Wes Miller furious. His Bearcats within 11, 3:05 to go. Cincinnati Bearcat run here late in the second half. Rayvon Griffith, who has not played much at all this year. The redshirt freshman knocks it down in front of his bench. His teammates on their feet. Cincinnati within relative striking distance here. West Virginia led by 22 just about 4.5 minutes ago. And now Cincinnati trails by 11. Toby O'Connor was helped to the bench. And now you see him walking to the locker room after that leg injury before the break. Wes Miller still unhappy that there was no over and back violation called on the Mountaineers. It will be West Virginia basketball out of the timeout.
Griffith has definitely helped the team and has earned more minutes moving forward. And Wes Miller was furious. It was really good for his team to see him all over the officials after the over and back call did not occur.
We'll see what Small can do here. Only 2 points in the second half after 17 in the first. Offensive rebound and a reset. Take some time off the clock. Now Small, double teamed, passes out of it to Harris. 10 to shoot. Corner 3. Jonathan Powell misses. 2.5 minutes to go. Does Cincinnati have enough time for a frantic comeback here?
Drive and kick. See if you can get yourself a 3, and if you do, you're in business.
Lukosius and Jizzle James both on the bench during this run for the Bearcats. Not a great possession so far for Cincinnati.
Who's the go-to guy for Cincinnati?
Day just sent packing by Sincere Harris. Huge block there. And Javon Small right now, West Virginia killing clock. Under 2 minutes to go. And Small is fouled. It's just the 5th team foul on Cincinnati. It's the 2nd on Rayvon Griffith.
My daughter liked playing volleyball. She played in college. That's a spike right there. Wow. I mean, he caught that right at the top. And as I watch the passion and the work of the Bearcats right now, I just have to say, where was that the first 30 minutes of this game?
Amos Lukosius and Jizzle James back on the court. Both have struggled mightily offensively today. Lukosius 1 for 7, James 0 for 8. Lukosius was going for the steal there, but Yesufu regroups. 7 seconds to go. He wants the ISO against Lukosius. 5 to shoot. Yesufu off 1 foot. The floater for Joseph Yesufu. 15 points, a perfect 6 of 6 from the floor.
I think Yesufu, we know what Small does, but I'm going to give Yesufu my Player of the Game award because I did not expect him to be this strong and prolific with his scoring.
A couple really good games in a row after 9 points against Houston. Final minute 15 to go. Hansberry left all alone underneath. Skillings just poked it out. But again, West Virginia jumps on the loose ball. 1 minute to play.
Well, West Virginia is impressive to me. They look like an NCAA team. I think they've got the potential to get even better. And as advertised, Small is just a stud out there. He can do everything.
Small slips. Turnover on West Virginia.
We can forgive that, can't we?
Yeah, I think that's okay. Somebody threw a banana peel down there. Catch BYU playing against Cincinnati on ESPN2 coming up later this week. Next week, I should say. Reed a step back 3. Off the backboard, clanks the iron. And that should do it. Javon Small can walk out the win for West Virginia as they improve to 14-7 overall on the year, get back to 500 in conference play, 5-5. Small and Yesufu combined for 35 points in the win for the Mountaineers. And Wes Miller still yelling at referee Terry Oglesby across the court as he's shaking hands with the West Virginia Mountaineers. But a road win snaps the 3-game losing streak for West Virginia, Tim.
I watched Cincinnati. I think they're a more talented team, and I think that West Virginia is much grittier.
We'll wait here 1 moment as we'll wait to talk to Javon Small. Another great game for him. West Virginia continuing to build their resume. They've beaten some of the best teams. Now it's just a matter of winning those quote-unquote games you should win. And this is, on paper, was a game that, at least based on how these two teams have played this season, a game that West Virginia was expected to take a W, and they were able to do it.
Yeah, and Cincinnati just really seemed to lack energy at the beginning of the game. It affected them a great deal, and they really fell behind too far. This is not a comeback kind of team. And also really impressed with West Virginia. A very professional, gritty effort. They play hard.
Javon Small making his way over to our broadcast booth. A 63-50 win for West Virginia. 19 points, 9 assists for Javon Small. As he gets the headset on. Javon, can you hear us? Good to see you, Javon, and we'll make sure we'll get there. You go. So Javon, 63-50, a good win for you guys. Snaps the 3-game losing streak. I'd like to just talk about your role on this team this year? Obviously, you came in thinking Tucker would be here, right? You know, backcourt mates. A lot more has been put on your shoulders. What has it been like embracing that role and finding so much success this year?
It's been everything. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you.
But not yet. It's been everything. You know, just trying to figure out a way to win every single game. Like you said, a lot of the pressure's been on my shoulders, but at the end of the day, I'm just all here for competing. And, you know, if you're a competitor, none of that should matter.
Javon, last year you had a good year, but it seemed like you sculpted your body and you lost some weight this year.
Right.
Has that translated into getting to the rim easier and more durability as the game goes on?
I feel like I've always been pretty good at getting to the rim. I just feel like I'm a little bit quicker on my feet. But yeah, like last year, like you said, I lost a few pounds. Last year, I was able to get to the rim and use my body. Now this year, you know, I'm able to just blow past people just a lot easier.
Coming into today, what was the game plan from Coach DeVries, and how did you feel like your team executed it here on the road?
Game plan was just, you know, if it was our last game, how hard would we play? Just trying to get back in the win column, which we did today. You know, we started the season off pretty well. Our previous week was pretty tough. So just coming out here trying to doing whatever we need to do to get a win.
NCAA-wise, we're getting into February now. We've got 1 month until March Madness. What does this team do to get to that next level?
Just keep winning games, keep playing together. It's a team effort at the end of the day. You know, we all just got to come out here and play every single game like it's our last.
Javon, we appreciate it. We enjoy watching you play. You're a thrill, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Javon Small and the West Virginia Mountaineers, a 63-50 win on the road in Cincinnati to improve to 14-7 overall, 5-5 in conference play. We really appreciate you joining us here. Big 12 action on ESPN Plus. For my partner Tim McCormick, I'm Eric Rothman. We will see you next time as Big 12 basketball rolls into the month of February. The Mountaineers behind 19 points and 9 assists from Javon Small, picking up the win, and Cincinnati loses their 4th in a row. From Fifth Third Arena, we say goodbye. This has been a presentation of